All right, we are back. We are back. Thank you very much for tuning in. And I do have the legendary Ian Burke with me.
Legendary.
You are legendary, man.
That's
You still modest, but you know what I'm saying. You a legendary dude. You know, and that's the thing. Like when I met you, you know what I'm saying. You never treated me like you was up here and I was down here, even though that's kind of how it was on some, you know, for the real. Because I was just trying to fight my way up to the ranks in Atlanta.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? For those that don't know or unfamiliar with your history, just run down some of the things that you've done.
Oh man! All right, well, you know,
That's a lot. That laugh was. We got a lot. It's like, hold on.
That's real.
that's
Need a whole show
the
for
rest of
this.
the podcast.
Right.
No, but I pride myself for being, some of the rappers that came out in the early part of the '90s. I was involved with started with Arrested Development, and I helped Jermaine out with Crisscross, and then from there I went to Organized Noise and Outkast and the Goody Mob, and then I signed Akon. I gave Akon his first record deal at Electric Records.
That's crazy.
And female rapper Soleil, you guys remember Soleil from the JT Money record, Who Dat?
Yeah.
You know, I was representing her, still working with her as a matter of fact. And that's my hip hop history. And in between the hip hop stars, I dabbled a little bit in pop and R&B with TLC, Escape, Bobby Valentino.
Legendary.
Track record longer than the OJ trial.
So did you fall into that, man, or was it like, oh, this is what I want to do, this is what I'm finna do now?
No, really, I fell into it. I did fall into it. Like, coming, like I said, from New York, Mount Vernon, New York.
Okay.
I have older brothers and a younger sister, older brothers and sister and a younger sister, and my family was always into music, listening to music. And my father was a musician, so we had a very musical household, very diverse musical household. So, anywhere from, my sisters listening to the Motown sound, the Temptations, the Jackson 5, the Commodores. And my brother was in the military, he was in the Navy, so he was out there with the White Cats.
Okay.
So he introduced me to Chicago, the Eagles.
Eagles, my joint.
Elton John.
Yeah.
He introduced me to those cats. And then my younger sister, growing up, she was into like DeBarge and Kenny Rogers, and
Kenny Rogers.
Yeah, Kenny Rogers.
They went from DeBarge to Kenny Rogers.
Kenny Rogers. She listened to that eclectic stuff. So
okay, cool.
So I grew up just having an appreciation for music. Period. So when I moved down here, like my parents were retiring, and they were moving to Florida, and I just wasn't trying to move to Florida. I heard about Atlanta.
I'm sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's all good. I heard about Atlanta, so I decided to attend DeVry Tech here and study computers. And it just so happens that one of the guys in my class was playing bass for a local band called Friends Inc. And they were opening up for Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes at this club called Mr. V's Figure 8. And they needed, roadies, people to help them move equipment.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that sounds like fun, So I just went and, helped them move the equipment. And I just kind of fell in love with being behind the scenes like that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then the biggest thing for me, I gotta say, like, the biggest thing for me was that night in the club, Sugar Ray Leonard was in the club. And I know a lot of people was like, Sugar Ray who? Like, Sugar Ray Leonard for me was like what Floyd Mayweather is to everybody is now. Mm-hmm. He was like that in the 70s and the 80s. So sitting there and meeting one of my sports idols or boxing idols, getting to shake his hand because, I was backstage chilling. That was cool to me. And I was like, yeah, you know what, I want to make this a living. So, I just adopted that and I dropped out of DeVry, started attending the Art Institute and studying commercial music, the commercial music program they had there. And, it just developed from there. And then it's just been a series of just being hungry and being in the right place at the right time and just connecting with people, man, and putting myself in situations where I would get noticed and people would see my hunger, and that's what happened. That's how it all started for me.
And It's actually dope. Like one of those names, because like I said, I know your history, but one of those names I didn't know. I didn't know that you had something to do with Crisscross. So it's like you kind of like the reason I rap. Because if they wasn't successful, then I probably would have wanted to do something else. But when I seen them, I was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
That's what it is. Well, I had a great relationship coming up with Jermaine Dupri. And while I was putting together the concept you guys know as TLC, he was working with, he was developing Crisscross. And he saw the package that I put together for the girls. And he was like, yo man, if you help me out with the guys, you know, I'll produce tracks for your new group. And I was like, bet, you know.
Leverage.
Jermaine was the dude. Like Jermaine was that cat, man. Like he was producing records like and releasing whole albums like when he was like 13, 14 years old. He had a group called Silk Times Leather that was released on Geffen Records, and he produced the whole project. And I was like, you know, yeah, well, this dude is doing major stuff. He hadn't really popped off yet. You know, they had a couple of, you know, decent records, a couple of decent singles, but nothing to match the success that he had later on, starting off with Crisscross. So I jumped in with him on Crisscross. He started doing the records for my group. And what was key about that is he was the one that got Tion to sing in that lower register, you know. Tion, that wasn't a natural thing for Tion. As a matter of fact, she didn't want to do it because she said she felt it made her sound like a boy. But he was like, no, you got to do it like this. It's hot. You know what I'm saying? And she adopted that, and that's really their signature sound. It's her low, bassy type of voice on those records. So that was very good. One of the elements that I felt was mistakenly left out of the whole TLC story with that aired on VH1. So
So she actually has like range then.
Oh yeah, Tion can sing. You know what I'm saying? She's
stuff you don't know.
It's crazy because she get the rap for not being able to sing, but that's by design. Like that's crazy.
That was specifically by design to give them a unique sound.
That's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? Tion's one of those people that I call a vocal stylist. I call Janet Jackson a vocal stylist. They're not the typical singers that you hear blowing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That TLC was never meant to be like an Escape. Like when I signed, got Escape signed to Jermaine Dupri, they were singers. Like they were vocal killers. You know what I'm saying? To me, they were dogging out some of the male groups that were out there during that time period. Because, you know, you could just drop a dime and they would sing a cappella and they would blow you away, man. And you'd just be like, shit. Can we curse on this show?
Yeah, definitely.
You got me saying stuff and freaking and
you good.
Oh man.
But TLC wasn't designed like that. They were a concept group. You know, what I wanted to do at the time was I wanted to put together a female version of Belle Biv DeVoe. That's all I wanted. I thought that Belle Biv DeVoe at the time was one of the coolest groups ever. And I thought, man, if we had a female group like that, they would kill it. And that's the reason why the TLC concept was born.
And kill it, they did.
Yeah.
They definitely killed it. So when it comes to, like, you know, just looking back on what you've accomplished, what do you feel like your biggest accomplishment was? And like that, and also I also wanted to know when was it that you felt like I made it? Like I'm here.
I still haven't felt like I made it.
And I can tell because you humble.
Yeah, man. I still haven't felt like I made it. And it's weird because, you know, like Berry Gordy is one of my idols and people that I look up to. You know, Berry Gordy created the Supremes, and to know that, you know, that I'm responsible for assembling like one of the biggest selling female groups of all times, you know what I'm saying? That's major to me because, you know, at the end of the day, we all are here for a purpose. Like, you know, it's not so much what we do while we're here. It is what we do while we're here to set up what's known as our legacy. You know, and I'm happy. Like if anything should happen to me, you know, before I really get to where I really want to go, I can honestly say that I had a blessed career at the end of the day. Yeah. And, you know, big moment. I mean, I've had so many big moments, like just knowing that, you know, TLC selling 14 million records 15 million records, or close to 100 million records collectively worldwide, becoming one of the biggest female groups of all times. And then, like for me, I think one of the proudest moments, I was at the Grammys the night that Outkast won Album of the Year, which is the biggest honor of the night. And no other rap group has ever done that. And I was just like, yo, it's like watching your kids graduate. You know what I'm saying?
That's what's up.
Because I mean, we started off at the dungeon.
Yeah.
You know, sleeping on floors and on couches and sleeping bags and recording in a red clay unfinished basement. And to see them get that honor, get recognized for, you know, their contributions to the music world, that was big for me. And normally I'm watching it at home. That was my second Grammys that I attended. I just happened to be in the audience, and man, I was like filled with emotion. Like, this is unbelievable, you know. So
I can only imagine.
So, I never been to the Grammys.
Right.
Are there any rules that they tell the artists that they can't do while they're, you know, spectating? Is it, you know what I'm saying? Is it like what are some things in the Grammys, like, you know, people don't know about behind the scenes?
Well, you know, like I was I've never sat down. I've never been in the artist section.
Okay, gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? But it's pretty much, man, when you sit down in the artist section, man, they give you goodie bags. They give you swag bags with Cartier watches and stuff like that.
Really?
Yeah. That's the thing about being stars. Like, you ain't got to pay for nothing. You know what I'm saying? So, but I don't feel like there are any rules. You know, you have to pay something.
You heard Geek telling well,
I can't wait.
I'm getting ready to drop my record.
Yeah,
man, they start throwing stuff at you, man, because the bottom line of it is they want you to support their stuff because you're like a walking billboard to them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, of course, they're going to give the stuff to stars or people that they feel other people would pay attention to because they're wearing their clothes or sporting their watches. So, but there are no rules. I remember the first Grammy session that I went to was the one where Jennifer Lopez had that dress on, that dress that everybody was talking about. And I was actually standing next to her right before she went on the red carpet. And I was looking at that dress going, damn.
What a time to be alive.
How's that shit sticking? What's going on? You know what I'm saying? I had no idea that would be like the dress that was talked about forever. You know what I'm saying?
Still trying to do
So, but yeah, that's, you know, once you go a few times, until you're nominated, I want to be down there. By the time Outkast got nominated, someone else was representing them. I wasn't representing them. I was just blessed to be in the room. But I'm looking forward to the time of sitting down there with my client, and not just at the Grammys, at the Oscars, the Emmys, the Tonys, any award where one of my clients that I'm still representing is nominated. That's going to be like a real big fit because it's like, okay, we went all the way together.
Yeah.
And that's the next level of excitement that I'm looking for.
That's what's up.
Yeah. So, I mean, with that being said, like we talk about a lot about your successes and everything like that. Do you have any failures that you know that we may not know of? That's significant to who you are today.
Yeah, you know, like there are a lot of things that I believed in that, you know, that just didn't catch on. You know, a lot of people know. It's funny. You're right. A lot of people know about the artists that I've been involved with behind the scenes that have exploded. But there've been a couple. You know what I'm saying? Because you know, people would, you know, give me money, investment money to work on some things, and they wouldn't pop off like, you know, everybody thought that they would. Like I had at the time when Justin Bieber was starting to blow up, I got this little white girl that I thought, yeah, this is gonna be the next, you know, female Justin Bieber. Like, she gonna come out, she gonna kill again.
Right.
What's up?
It was not to be.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Some folks gave me a lot of money to back this girl too, man. And unfortunately, you know, and then when you sign something that young, you have to deal with parents too, and parents can be a pain. They can be the reason why, you know, the kids really miss out because they're trying to live vicariously through their children.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
I remember when you gave me that situation where I was about to ghostwrite for the one kid. I think he was from Vegas or something like that. And you said that his mother had, or his parents had signed something to where his music could go. He was signed to a boxer. You remember that?
oh, was that? Oh,
I don't remember the kid's name, but I just know that I came in to do my part. I'm trying to write these records.
I'm trying, because I'm trying to remember when that was. It was signed. Yeah, it was Ani. He was signed to
Ani,
Vernon.
that was his name.
Yeah, he was signed to Vernon Forest, and Ani should have been. Ani was like, that's the perfect example. Like Ani was was like the prototype. Like it's a really good looking kid, and had styles to rap. You know what I'm saying? But doing a little ghost writing. You know what I'm saying? I don't remember
because he was still young.
We were over there at Purple Ribbon at the time, and I was looking to sign him to Purple Ribbon. Big Boy was really excited about him.
I remember that.
And it's just a lot of confusion because sometimes the parents can get in their own way. You know what I'm saying? And just they doing stuff that they had no business doing and just blocking the blessings for their kids.
I know what you mean. I was to be honest, I was blessed. My parents didn't do that. Me and my guys, we were signed at 16 to Joe Johnson that played for the New Orleans Saints. Like my mom and them had to sign the contract. You know what I'm saying? They didn't. Yeah. They couldn't read that stuff. You know what I mean? We had to get a lawyer and all of that, man, and straight work out the numbers. And it was. I mean, it was crazy, man, because it was $1 million tour buses, $1 million mansions, all that, man. And it was like, what is this? We finna blow up. You know what I'm saying? And it didn't work out because I don't know. The money was funneling somewhere else, but it's like it's that behind the scenes work is crazy, man.
It is crazy. It's the thing with sports. Sometimes, most of the time, sports and the entertainment business just don't work.
Doesn't work.
For them, it's a vanity situation more so than anything.
Yeah.
It's I got a label. Now I can sign my homeboys, or I can do put records out.
Yeah.
But it very rarely works. Every now and then you'll have a situation like a Shaq who'll come out like a gimmick. You know what I'm saying, and sell records. Or a lot of people don't know or realize that Michael Jordan was behind the label Hidden Beach, which had quite a few successful artists. But after I left the Purple Ribbon situation, a couple of years later, I went to Vegas and I started consulting Floyd Mayweather Jr. with his label. And Floyd is a great guy, incredible athlete. Just but the label for him, in my opinion, was just a vanity situation.
Right.
It was a situation where I got a label. But unfortunately, certain things weren't being taken care of. And it was looking crazy because, I was booking studio time and doing things of that nature, and things weren't getting done because, we too busy in the strip clubs paying those bills. Right. You know what I'm saying? And once again, there's not a slap at Floyd because, he's one of the coolest, most givingest dudes that, I've ever had the opportunity to work for. Shout out to Tasha Robinson White and Kevin White, who actually involved me in that situation, and it was a learning experience for me. But when it comes down to athletes, what athletes need to do is they need to put the money up and hire somebody
and appoint people,
to come in and just run it and just let them. But they have to have the money accessible so they can take care of certain things.
Yeah,
it's hard when you got to keep going back to these
make
people
calls and this and that.
Exactly.
Like, hey,
we got to pay this player. We got to do this. We got to do that. And they're in the midst of you can't mess with him while he's training and shit because he's preparing to kick somebody's ass. So we got to sit back and wait for that to happen. You know what I'm saying? And it's just one of those things. So.
Yeah.
A lot of these athletes have good intentions, but if any athletes are listening, listen. Hire somebody that know the business.
Yeah.
And give them like a quarterly stipend, and make sure you stay on top of the business and let these people do what they do. That's like the biggest thing with these people that have money, that have no knowledge of the business. I had a situation like that earlier this year. Somebody who had the money didn't know nothing but wanted to be Birdman.
Yeah.
You know, that was he just wanted, I got a label, man. We're going to go straight to radio. I'm just like, what do you mean go straight to radio, man? Nobody listens to radio anymore. Kids don't listen to radio.
I'm so glad you said that.
This is the radio for kids. This is TV for kids. This is distribution for kids. You know what I'm saying? Folks you don't go to radio, man. This ain't the 90s.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But he didn't know. He thought they're throwing money out trying to go to terrestrial radio and trying to break a record that way, man. It's just like, you don't know. Let the people who know do what they do.
Yeah.
And you just sit back and reap the benefits. But, it's hard. It's hard.
I heard the radio in trouble.
Who listens to radio right now?
I rarely do.
I bet you she was just sitting over there with the headphones in her ear. If she wasn't talking to somebody, if she was listening to music, she was either on Tidal, Spotify, Apple Music, or Google Music. Were you listening to music, sweetie? Okay, well, she wasn't listening to music, so that really doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, that's what these kids listen to.
She had Spotify though. That Spotify is her go-to.
I mean, I'm telling you. I asked this: when's the last time you bought a record? Yeah, exactly. But you do listen to music, though, don't you?
I pay a membership to Spotify.
So they pay $10 a month, and they have a complete catalog.
Right.
You know what? And that's something that I really didn't understand until I finally subscribed to Google Music. And I got it. It's like, well, damn, I can listen to whatever record I want
Anything.
for $10 a month.
That's one CD. That's one album.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You go buy an album for $9.99.
Exactly.
You can have all of them for $10.
And that's what I do now. So when I do my road trips and stuff like that, I don't listen to CDs. I just plug in Google Music. I can create my own playlist, you know what I'm saying, and do it that way.
Yeah.
Who's listening to radio anymore? Nobody want to hear commercials. Nobody want to hear the DJs talk. We just want to hear the music.
Yeah,
that's real. But the thing is, I actually read something, and I want to say it was a couple months ago. It said that YouTube break more artists than any other platform.
I believe that.
I
believe
too.
that.
and that's accessible by your phone.
It's all that, because that's what they do all day. They either have a smartphone that the parents are no longer using, or they have their own iPad or some sort of tablet. That's what these kids do. What's crazy? These kids sit here. They don't even play video games anymore. You know what they do? They watch other kids play video games.
I would never understand that. I would never understand that. That's crazy.
It's the ways what's going on now. That's the wave.
And I could see if you couldn't afford a game, so you just watching people play. But these kids have their own games.
They have their own game,
and they will sit up all day and watch people play the video game and just think that that's the most amazing, entertaining thing ever.
Yeah, I'll never understand.
It's bananas. So one of my questions I wanted to ask is, as long as you've been in the game and the artists that you've helped develop, is there a formula to creating a star, or is it just random? I know it's calculated steps,
right?
But is there like a set formula that you could run an artist through?
No, there's no set roadmap. Everybody's different. It's like fingerprints. They're all different. You know what I'm saying? You have to approach it in different ways, and the way you have to look at it is like you have to really study it in the matter that, okay, what is it about the artist that really attracted you to that particular person?
Yeah.
And then you have to focus on that aspect of it. Me, myself, I always approach things as a fan first. You know what I'm saying? Which may sound kind of crazy, but man, if I'm not your number one fan, then what am I doing representing you?
So if you don't like it, you don't rock with them.
You know what I'm saying? Unless I'm being paid, I'm not even gonna lie. You paying me, then
Yeah, you get your right.
You paying me, I'll rock with you up front.
Business is business.
You know what I'm saying? Bills got to be paid. You know what I'm saying? And I will do, and don't get it twisted now, I will do my job. I will make sure that the work gets done. Yeah. That's never a question. You know what I'm saying? It was a question at one particular point in time. This is an artist that, I got paid for, and I have to refund the money because I just couldn't get into it. I couldn't get into it.
Yeah.
I couldn't get into it. So it's like, okay, yeah. Let me give you your money back.
And to be honest with you, at least you're honest enough to even do that. You know Some guys, everybody says the game is cutthroat, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's some guys out here that'll take your bread
and keep moving,
do a shitty job,
right?
And bust a corner on them.
Yeah. But the funny thing about it is, even with that, like, what really gets me is that these people pay you, right? And They pay you to consult or to help guide them, and then they don't want to listen. They don't want to listen to the information that you give them. Then when what they do flops, they want to turn around and try to blame you.
Blame it on you.
You know what I'm saying? That happens a whole lot in what I do right now as a consultant. Happens a whole lot. It's like, no, I told you don't put your money there. That don't make sense. Don't go to terrestrial radio. Let's spend our money on the digital platforms.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Oh man, it failed because you went to terrestrial radio. That's not what I told you not to.
What they used to say back in the day: if the album pop is the artist's fault, if it flops, it's the label fault.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Or the manager, especially the manager, because we're on the low end of the totem pole. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, man, we don't get credit. We're glorified babysitters. As managers, we are glorified babysitters. That's all we are.
Even in today's game?
Even in today's game.
It seemed like, because in today's game, the manager is the most important piece on the team.
You think that would be the case? Try to manage an artist. Try to manage an artist. I guarantee you would be like, yo, I'm going to kill you. You know what I'm saying? You'll bring these artists in. Let me tell you. I've had artists sleeping in my house on my couch, eat my food and stuff like that, and then just get this thing what I call selective amnesia. They just forget. Oh well, what have you done for me, nigga? You just spent a month on my couch.
Right,
real quick.
You know what I'm saying? Eating my food. You don't have no money for groceries. You know what I'm saying? And they real quick. All of a sudden, when they're ready to make moves or do it, well, you ain't done nothing for me, nigga. Please.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, try it, Will. Get yourself a little mini artist. To see how important you are.
I was actually thinking about that, but you got me changing my mind.
Yeah,
well, let me tell you that in some cases it can be very, very rewarding. My problem is I'm a proactive manager. I'm not a reactive manager. There are a lot of managers out there that okay, I'm your manager. I handle your day to day. So, when money comes in, I make sure I handle the business. Nah, you got to go out there and make sure or find ways to promote and market your product. You know what I'm saying? You got to go out there and maintain that artist's status so that, they stay or remain relevant. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of managers don't know how to do that. They don't know how to be proactive. They'll go out there and set up platforms and or strong foundations for their artist's career. You know what I'm saying? They just want to sit around and wait for the money to come in and then think that's when their job is supposed to start. That's not when it's supposed to start. You're supposed to be getting out there and being proactive for your artists, creating things and situations. You don't necessarily have to spend money to do that too, to create certain, especially with social media. I'll give you an example. So I have one of my new. I'm moving into the film and television aspect, and one of my new clients is a 7-year-old actor now, and it's like, okay, he has an agency that's in charge of booking his shows. Now I can sit back and wait for the agency to do their job and stuff like that, or I can say, you know what, let me make this kid more viable. So what I did was I got with his parents and we created this little segment on his Instagram page and it's called #From a Kid's Perspective. And what he does is he talks on subjects from a kid's perspective. You know what I'm saying? Creating content, because that's what this world is all about right now. The more content that you put out there, the more likely you're going to stumble on something that's going to go viral and all of a sudden put you in a position to where you can be that dude or that woman. You know what I'm saying? So, okay.
So let me ask you this, right? There's two things I wanted to ask you. One of my guys, my mentor that raised me in this game, his name is Luke Mine. And one thing that he's driven from 2003 when we started working together to now, he always said that this game takes more effort than money. How true is that?
It's very true. It's very true. Money's not everything. You know what I'm saying? Money, there's a lot of people out there with money, the athletes out there with money that think that they can buy their way into the game. It's not just about money. It's about you getting out there and hitting the pavement. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And really working the situation it's the brain power, man. You have to sit there and actually calculate. Like I said, you have to be a fan of the situation first. Once you're a fan of it, then you can figure out how to maneuver and how to expose whatever talents that your client has to the masses. And, sometimes that takes money. Sometimes it doesn't. You know what I'm saying? If you're smart and you think outside the box, me coming up with hashtag from a kid's perspective, that's just me looking at the trends going on social media and saying, okay, well, let's try this because he's a cute kid. Let's put this out there, and everybody loves a kid on Instagram. I tell you where I got the idea from. There was these two girls. I don't know. Tell me if you saw this. These two little girls that I saw on Instagram, and they were like, call Jesus. Call Jesus. If your boyfriend walk out on you, don't call Tyrone. Call Jesus. Jesus. And it just went crazy. And I was just like, yo, that's the cutest thing. So, how can you, you can't deny kids. But, you have to study. You have to do your homework. You have to think. You have to plan. You have to calculate. You know what I'm saying? And that don't take money. It takes effort. It takes grind, Yeah. So I agree with what he has to say 100%.
Okay. And second question, let's say I'm an artist or I got an artist or whatnot. Mm-hmm. I think this album is the dopest thing in the world. I got $5,000 to promote this album. What do you, if I'm Ian Burke, what do I do?
I go straight digital. If I have $5,000, I would go straight digital. I go straight digital. Come up with a strong digital marketing campaign. That's what I'll do with $5,000. Whether it's creating a YouTube video to put out there for $2,500, creating some sort of teaming up with Spotify to create some sort of campaign, depending on how dope it is. Spotify has an office here in Atlanta. They have people that are accessible that you can sit down and talk campaigns with. A strong internet social media marketing campaign where you hire a social media marketing expert to buy ads and stuff like that to promote and market the product that you're trying to get out there. With $5,000, I would go straight digital. I wouldn't even think about going to terrestrial markets. And if I went to terrestrial radio, definitely wouldn't be. Everybody thinks that Atlanta's the hub. Atlanta's not, we don't break artists here. We really don't. We play what the demand is to be played. If you really want to get broke, you want to go out to the outside markets, to the P2 and P3 markets. You want to go to Augusta, Savannah, Albany, Macon, Columbus. You want to go to the small cities in Alabama, the small cities in Florida, Jacksonville, Tallahassee. You want to go to the Carolinas. You know what I'm saying? And Tennessee. You want to go to those smaller markets because they're hungry for people to come out there and do the things that they're doing here from Atlanta. If you go there and you're from Atlanta, you go to these smaller markets, they're like, oh my God, it's from Atlanta. You're from Atlanta. It's a big thing to them because they don't get that. They use the local people coming up to this spot. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
I remember a year we opened up for D4L in Springfield, Missouri. Mm-hmm. They thought we...
Yo, guys out there, right?
They thought we was, man, I'm like, bro, we just from St. Louis. Like,
because they don't get that though.
Yeah.
They don't get that out there. And it's exciting. But these kids, they want more of that stuff. And they'll get it any which way you give it to them.
Yeah.
So if it's good, if it seems like it's getting traction on social media or whatever, you know what I'm saying? They will take to it,
So is the college route as valuable as the P2, P3 markets?
I would say, it's not as valuable as it used to be, but I would still say, you can still set up college tours, homecomings, and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely, I would say, it's definitely very valuable.
Would you, as Ian Burke, would you hit the P2, P3 markets as well as the colleges?
Yeah. I would combine it because normally when all of those little cities that I named, they all have colleges in them.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So while you're hitting these smaller markets, you make a pit stop over at the college station, and you show them love as well.
Yeah.
So for me, P2 and P3s include college stations and community radio stations.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Those little stations that have a lot of talk shows, but they also play music as well.
Yeah.
Like WRFG here in Atlanta, Little 5 Points, Radio Free Georgia.
Okay, that's what's up, man.
How would you go about marketing a rapper per se that doesn't make club music today?
That's, you know what the funny thing about it is, this is real funny for me. Like, I'm not even a hip hop head. I'm from New York, from Mount Vernon, which is the suburban area of the Bronx, where hip hop was born. And then I came here and represented some of the most reputable hip hop acts that come out of Atlanta. Mm-hmm. But I'm not a hip hop head.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So me, if you pay attention to the artists that I represented, like Arrested Development, Outkast, and Goody Mob, those were all kind of eclectic, kind of different type of artists. You know what I'm saying? They weren't the norm during those days. You know what I'm saying? When I was doing Arrested Development, y'all know that's straight spiritual, conscious African music. You know what I'm saying? At a time where strip clubs were popping and everybody was listening to Luke. You know what I'm saying? So I had to figure out a way to get them booked in venues that wanted something a little different. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with Outkast. It was funny when L.A. Reid asked us to do a Christmas song for the LaFace Christmas album. I had to go and break that to the guys and say, yeah, we got to do a Christmas record. And, you know, I almost got my ass kicked because it's like, we're not Run DMC. We don't do that. You know, what do you mean we got to do a Christmas record? Oh, hell no. They trying to fuck us up. We don't do that. And, you know, it took sitting them down and saying, listen, let's talk about your Christmas. You know, talk about what y'all do. You don't have to talk about Santa Claus and all like that. You know, what is it that y'all do? And that's how Players Ball was born. You know what I'm saying? So once again, when you talk about marketing and promoting, you have to know your talent. You have to know what you're working with, their strengths and their weaknesses. And you got to do it to where it's genuine. You know, it's got to come across real. So when people heard Players Ball, that shit sounded real to them. Yeah. You know, especially coming from the South, everything that they were saying made sense to the people here.
Rico Wade said Biggie stole that player shit from Outkast.
Bro, you know, listen, we used to. What was it? Was Biggie? Biggie was opening for us, I believe, at one point. Or did we open up for Biggie? I can't remember, but yeah, we did a lot of shows together with Biggie.
Yeah, say that's when he started coming with the One More Chances remixes and all that kind of, you know, the stuff that we know and love him for. They say he kind of jacked it a little bit.
Okay, I'm gonna leave that with Rico. I don't know how viable that is, but hey, Rico
Makes
knows.
Sense.
Listen, Rico's a study of the game. You know what I'm saying? He was the leader of Organized Noise, and he knew his shit. At the end of the day, he knew his shit. So.
So, out of all of the acts that you brought to the game, like who was your favorite? Or are you able to say? Are you able to say?
Put him in a box.
It's okay to have a personal favorite. Like,
you know what?
He say off air, bro. Off the record.
I'm gonna tell you out of all of the names that you mentioned, I'm gonna tell you who my favorite is.
Okay.
Of course, Crisscross, because they, like I said, and even my fiance said it, like, you love Crisscross, like that. They are literally the reason why I rap. So,
right.
You know what I'm saying? But besides them, I would probably either say TLC or Goody Mob.
Okay, not Outkast, huh?
Not. I'm not gonna lie to you. I like Outkast. I wasn't like.
You want to move?
CeeLo is that dude to me, man.
Right.
Like when I tell you, like he is probably one of the most underrated rappers. Like not even artist wise, because he did what he did with the North Barkley and all that kind of stuff. I'm talking about actually spitting bars. That nigga could fucking rap.
Oh yeah, I mean, he got the quotable in the Source several times. The hip hop quotable in the Source several times.
But they front on him because he's from the South.
Well, that what did Dre say, man, at the Source Awards?
South got something to say.
South got something to say.
Real quick. That's why I love Outkast.
And he proved the point. Like, I think the Goody Mob's biggest thing is that they were following in the shadows of Outkast. You know what I'm saying? I think that they could have been, should have been a bigger group than what they actually were, but they were a dope ass group. That first album, the Soul Food album, was a freaking monster.
Amazing.
It was a monster. So, I get it. I totally get it. And all of them with Timo, Big Gip, Cujo, as well as CeeLo, they were all dope ass lyricists, man, and they brought a different flavor to hip hop. They weren't Outkast clones, and that's what I loved about that situation. They had their own identity, but they were still in the shadows of Outkast, because Outkast was just really starting to pop off in ways that we never would have imagined.
I love Outkast, and how I knew like they were gonna be big. Like I got introduced to them through a white. I was like, I can't remember how old I was. Nerdy white guy named Jared. I was listening to Busta Rhymes.
Right.
He said, "Man, you ain't heard this ATLians?" I say, "The hell is this, man?" I said, "Get out of here." And homie gave me a CD. He's like, "Man, you got to listen to this. Take this home." You know what I'm saying? Never gave him his CD back, bro. he never got that ATLians back ever, bro. After that, it was a wrap.
Crazy,
It was a
crazy
wrap. I had to
thing.
go back.
I remember where I was the first time I heard Elevators, dog. I was at Saints, bro. That's a skate rink in St. Louis. We was. I mean, young. You know what I'm saying? They had this little dance room or whatnot, and I was walking on my way to the dance room, and I heard that beat, and I'm like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I just remember that shit so vividly, like, you know what I'm saying? But TLC, like, I feel like that they second album, you know what I'm saying, the Crazy Sexy Cool. Like,
that was
I'm
lit.
not gonna lie to you, I still go back and listen to that, because me personally, like, I feel like Babyface is like the greatest writer of all time.
He's dope.
You know what I'm saying?
He's dope.
You say that like you don't believe he the greatest, man.
Well, hey, man, listen. Have you heard of Diane Warren?
No.
Look up Diane Warren. Look up Diane Warren. Diane Warren has been writing hits since the 80s. I'm not taking anything away from Babyface. Definitely a superbly talented songwriter. Diane Warren has written more hits cross genres, from country, rock, pop, and R&B. She's written for TLC, Escape, Aerosmith, LeAnn Rimes, Michael Bolton. You know what I'm saying?
Crazy.
If you go to YouTube right now and look up Diane Warren, and they have like Diane Warren's top 40 hits. She's written for Celine Dion, top 40 hits, and you'll sit there and be like, "Oh my God, that's a damn Diane Warren record." She is undoubtedly one of the greatest songwriters of our generation.
How do you even get into those positions where you writing for 40 people? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy.
You just dope.
Shout out.
Get Diane Warren in here. And of course she's a white lady. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, get her ass up in here. You want a hit called Diane Warren. That's exactly, when you look at that list, if you ever look at it, they're all videos, and it gives you the chart position and everything. When you look at it, it gives you the chart position and everything. She's just one of, and what happened, I got to know Diane personally because she's an ASCAP writer. So I ran ASCAP here in the Southeast. ASCAP is a performance rights organization. The American Society of Composers, Authors, and Publishers. There's 3 in this country right now. It's ASCAP, CSAC, and BMI. And she's an ASCAP writer, so I got to go out and hang out with her at her house with all her birds. She's a bird lover. And I really, and I just found this out recently, the songs that she wrote, because I accidentally Googled it and it came up. And I saw all of these hits that she wrote in addition to the ones that I already knew about. And I was like, yeah, she's the greatest songwriter of our generation. Damn. She's written more hits.
Yeah, check it out.
And being at ASCA, I could say this now because I no longer work there. I had access to see what these people were making, right? So I could look up the checks that we were mailing out. This woman was getting upwards of $750,000 every quarter, every 3 months for her songwriting, and that was just her writer share. She also got a publishing share and she got an overseas share. You know, I seen the checks written out for her for $752,000.
That's that cake, man.
You know what I'm saying? So
I'm gonna start writing tonight.
That's that
you know what I'm saying?
cake.
Tonight.
Be that successful writer. I mean, you look at Candy Burns, like she had a
I just looked
a
her
string
up.
of successful.
I looked her
records.
up, and she said that I looked up on Google, and it was like, she wrote for Beyonce and them, everybody. I'm like, I couldn't believe it. Like some of the top songs. I'm like, that's crazy.
Yep. I mean, she got a Grammy Award for writing those scrubs for TLC.
Yeah.
You know, so that's how it goes. But let me answer your question. Mm-hmm. My favorite, if I had to name a favorite, is actually one of my quote unquote failures. But in the mid '90s, I had this all female African American rock band called Edith Wish. It was a band of 6 women that played their own instruments, and they played rock. They were a rock band. Mm-hmm. Now, back then, of course, there was no social media, no Snapchat, no Instagram, no Twitter. You know, we had to go out there and we had to do it the hard way. You know, we started touring and ended up, picking up a couple of great white people that loved the band and that put us on tour with them, opening up for them. And we built up a solid fan base in the Southeast as that band. It was funny when we would walk into some of these redneck-ass clubs and people would expect us to play Parliament Funkadelic and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And we're playing Janis Joplin's Take a Piece of My Heart. You know what I'm saying? And just rocking that shit out. And it was bananas. Mm-hmm. The group was so dope. We had 2 guitar players. It's the Wilson sisters. One sister played guitar. One played bass. And another girl named Jennifer Bliss who played guitar as well. We had Priscilla Allen on keyboards, and the band was named after Cookie Dean. Her first name was Edith, and we called the band Edith Wish. But the star of the band was our lead singer, who also played guitar, Dion Gibson. Her voice was phenomenal. It was crazy. And I had a 7-label bidding war on this band. 7 labels, and not just A&Rs. I had the top representatives bidding for this band, bidding for this group. And it came down to the labels were Geffen Records, Interscope, Arista, LaFace, RCA, Epic, and Elektra. And it boiled down to Interscope, which was Jimmy Iovine, right, and Clive Davis at Arista. And they were flying us back and forth from New York to LA from Atlanta. And eventually, I think the mistake on our part was we went with Clive. I had a lot of respect for Clive at that point in time. I still do. I think that Clive, sometimes I call myself the Black Clive Davis. Clive discovered some very popular rock bands, including Janis Joplin, Aerosmith, Bruce Springsteen. He had a very distinguished rock career before he started blowing up in the urban world by signing McFadden and Whitehead first, and then giving a deal to LA and Babyface, and then to Puffy. And he wanted to get back into the rock world, so we did the deal with Arista. It was the biggest deal at that point in time ever for a new artist, $1.7 million, and but he really at that point didn't know what to do. Really didn't know what to do, and then the band sort of got a little egotistical. We were working with a producer named Matt Shaletic, who had another little band that he put to the side to work specifically with us, and the girls couldn't vibe with him. And then he went back to this little band, a little band that became Matchbox 20, which sold 1 billion records. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And then the funny thing about it was my partner with this group, he had another all-female band too that he was sort of like put to the side for a second and was focusing on Edith Wish. But when they started to backslide, we got signed and we sat for 2 years before we were eventually dropped. And then he went back to his little band, and he had a little band called the Dixie Chicks, which was on Columbia Records, which sold 1 billion records. After that, I was the only one that didn't get paid out of that deal. I was so mad. Everybody else went to fame and grandeur, and I was like, damn, I should have went and got the Dixie Chicks. But they were my favorite because it was raw, and I built that from scratch, much like I did with the TLC thing. But this time I had brought it all the way to the point where we were doing a bidding situation. And much later, after I watched the Defiant ones, I had no idea of Jimmy's history until I saw the HBO special, The Defiant Ones. Have y'all
Wasn't that
watched
crazy?
That shit was bananas.
That shit was
Have you
crazy.
I haven't
seen
checked
that?
it out yet. I haven't had a
Please
chance.
watch The Defiant Ones.
Yeah,
That is
I've been
one
hearing a
of-
lot about it, man.
I ain't gonna lie.
I haven't checked it out.
It
It
will
sparked
change your
me.
life, yeah.
It sparked me because
Yeah.
you never know all of these walks of life, and as high as you get, when you hit that low, you hit low as hell, and you gotta fight your way back up to the top.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all. That's what I got from that. Look, okay, just got the sign. We gotta wrap it up because we can sit up here
No,
and do
man,
this
come
all
on.
night.
We need about 30 more minutes.
Right.
we extending it tonight.
Yo, so well, before we got here, I do want to ask you two questions. Do you like who are you working with now? Who's your current artist that you know? Do you got anybody you want to promote?
Yeah, I want to promote my little 7-year-old white Latin boy. His name is Jalen Blackburn. We call him Jalen X. You can follow him on Instagram at Jalen_Blackburn. I'm telling you right now, y'all doubt me if you want, but this kid is going to be that next one. He's an incredible actor, incredible personality, and he's dope. He's crazy dope. I work with a few producers now. One of them is here with us right now. You know, the Korean kid over there. You know, that's my boy Libby. He's a really dope producer. He does, you know what I'm saying? He does hip hop beats as dope as crazy. So you may want to get with him real quick. A guy named Booby Robinson who works with London on the Track. He's London on the Track's right hand producer. You know what I'm saying? So those are like my key folks right now. But I am trying to shift into the film and television market space real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, I just became a comedian last night, man, and I
I was like, "Your word?"
I was looking for an agent today. I figured today I'd look for an agent.
Yeah.
Straight up.
What was the second question?
Second question is, can you give us a wild behind the scenes industry story? Hey, you know I gotta push there. I gotta push it to the limit.
I'm trying to think. Is there anyone in particular you any story you trying to hear? Is there something that you may want to hear? I'm trying to think. Damn.
I mean, you've been around everybody. You've been around Beyonce. You've been around.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I used to. I actually babysat Beyonce.
Huh.
I babysat all 4 of the girls. I had a group called Mister that was signed to Elektra, and at the time,
Remember this?
Beyonce was they were called the Dolls. They weren't called Destiny's Child then, and they were signed, and they were good friends with my band. So they wanted to come out and hang out with Mister, so I had to be one of the chaperones. You know, so they were like Beyonce was 14, 15 at the time. So yeah, that was funny. But you're trying to find something controversial.
Hey man.
Hey,
Hey, you got her number?
not no more. I was talking to Daddy, so you know, Matthew knows. Oh my goodness, man. Oh shite. I have to sit back and think about that, man. And we don't have time. Let's do the countdown.
Do the countdown.
Saved by the Bell.
Saved by the Bell. I'm gonna, you know what? Next time you guys invite me, this is really cool. Thank you for inviting me out first and
No
foremost.
problem. Anytime, man. You can come through anytime. man.
And I promise you, the next time we're gonna start with the industry scandals. I'm gonna go into because there's quite a few. You know, I can't name names. You know what I'm saying? I can't name names. There was this incident that took place in Brazil one time. That was really crazy. So okay, yeah. Oh man, it's a dirty story though, man.
Hey, but
It has to
damn,
do
we
with.
gotta go. We
We're
gotta
gonna bring you.
What time?
We're gonna
What's
bring
up?
you back. We're gonna bring you
Yeah,
back.
you know what? That's cool. We gonna bring him back.
Yeah.
We gonna bring him
Yeah,
back.
so we're gonna start off with that Brazilian story.
It sounds scandalous.
It's scandalous, bro. It's scandalous. No names will be mentioned during that story. I can't do it.
Hey, so we on out of here. Let's go ahead and clap it up for Ian Burke, man. We really appreciate
Thanks
you
again for
coming
having
out.
me.
Awesome interview,
You know what I'm
man.
saying?
Awesome interview.
Yeah, great interview. So I go by the name of Big Will.
I'm your boy Keith Jones, the coolest co-host on the East Coast.
And this is my show now. I'm Ian Burke. You'll see me again next week. without these two.
And did you know, according to a 2014 study, 1 in 10 Americans think HTML is a sexually transmitted disease.
It isn't?
All right, I go by the name of Big Will.
Hey man, catch me on Keith Jones 814 on all social media sites, man. And thank y'all for tuning in.
Big Will STL.